It's Hyper Halloween!
Next up is Critters. Critters is a 1986 sci-fi comedy horror film featuring lovable, furry hedgehogs from space. These creatures are called Cxdy, and they're not really hedgehogs, although they do share some similarities, like having quills and also rolling up into a ball and rolling around like Sonic the Hedgehog. But in reality, these Cxdy are very vicious. Critters was the directorial debut of Stephen Herek, and it focuses on a small town that is invaded by these furry, vicious creatures. The film starts off on a prison asteroid that contains a maximum security prison. Someone enters the compound claiming they have 8 Cxdy prisoners. These Cxdy are considered to be very dangerous, and apparently they have a big appetite and can eat anything they get their hands on. The Cxdy escape, steal a ship, and fly off into space. The Cxdy, of course, land on Earth in a remote mountain town. The prison orders bounty hunters to chase after them, so they're not too far behind. The bounty hunters are interesting to say the least. For one, they don't have any faces. They have these weird blobby white heads that can morph into any face they want, depending on what planet they go to. The lead bounty hunter takes the form of Johnny Steele, a hair metal singer in the Critters universe. Fun fact, we actually hear Johnny Steele's hit single, Power of the Night, throughout the film. The other hunter's transformation ability is messed up, so his face changes into random townsfolk faces throughout the film. I'm guessing this is done for comedic purposes, given the town gets confused when they see someone they know in strange clothing, but it never really goes anywhere. Well, in any case, I mentioned that the Cxdy were dangerous, but hell if these bounty hunters aren't either. They shoot first and barely ask any questions at all. They destroy most of the town in pursuit of the Cxdy, and honestly, that's a lot funnier than a malfunctioning transformation ability, at least to me. Okay, I'm kinda going all over the place here, so let's talk about the main family of the movie. Shortly after the intro scene, we meet the Brown family, a family of 4 that consists of Brad, the youngest, April, the oldest, Jay, the father, and Helen, the mother. We get a glimpse into their daily lives in the beginning of the movie. Brad is a little troublemaker that likes to make firecrackers and do things he shouldn't do. April is tired of the quaint country life they lead and wants something more. She has a boyfriend that's from the city, and we get a bit of commentary about big city life versus the farming community that they live in. The Cxdy end up landing in a nearby area. We see that they are able to communicate in their own language, but we get subtitles to know what they're saying. The Cxdy immediately set out to find food. They eat a nearby cow, and then they cause one of the local police to stop after he hits one of them. He thinks that he hit a dog, and he goes off to look for it. He then gets a spike shot into his knee for his trouble, and then he's eaten as well. The Cxdy also seem to spread out, as some also show up at the Brown household. We get a glimpse of red eyes peering through the kitchen window, which freaks out the mother. Of course, they disappear when the family goes to investigate. That is, they disappeared into the basement. The Cxdy chew through the electrical lines and tear up their cellar. Jay goes into the cellar to figure out what's going on and gets attacked for his trouble. Jay is also shot with a quill, and we find out that these quills have a type of toxin on it that numbs their victim, rendering them immobile depending on where they're hit. April and her boyfriend are also attacked by the Cxdy. She makes it out, but her boyfriend isn't so lucky. The bounty hunters arrive while all this is happening. They immediately wander around town looking for the Cxdy, blowing everything up in their path. Speaking of blowing things up, Brad actually throws a firecracker at one of the Cxdy, and it eats it. We get this really neat effect of the firecracker exploding inside the creature, inflating his stomach, and then smoke coming out of its mouth. The Cxdy absolutely overtake the house with all the family inside. We start to see that there are some Cxdy that are larger than others. It appears that they grow as they eat. Brad runs for help and eventually finds the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters, in typical fashion, blow up everything in the house. There are so many explosions, it's honestly a thing of beauty. The Cxdy end up heading for their ship, and Brad manages to pack the thing with his homemade firecrackers and get out before it takes off. The Cxdy start to get away, but their ship explodes, ending their reign of terror. Or does it? We find out at the end of the film that Cxdy lay eggs, and they left behind a little surprise, a pile of Cxdy eggs. They didn't wait long to continue the Critter saga either. Critters 2 came out about 2 years after Critters 1, and was followed up by 3 more films and a web series that acted as a reboot. Critters is a simple film that has some really cool effects. I already mentioned the explosion inside of the Krite, but the Krites themselves are also very well made. They look innocent enough to lure someone into a false sense of security, but are vicious enough that running away from them doesn't sound nonsensical. Going back to the cool effects though, the bounty hunter transformation scene is actually really cool. It looks like they melted a detailed wax dummy head and then played it in reverse when the head was taking form. It's simple, but really effective. This is probably my first look into a movie that I like to call a Gremlinsploitation movie. What I mean by that is, Gremlins was insanely popular when it came out, and there were a lot of movies featuring little monsters that spawned in its wake. In fact, New Line Cinema even promoted Critters as its answer to Gremlins. Despite what New Line stated, director Stephen Herrick disputes this, claiming that the screenplay was written prior to Gremlins and was based off of a dream he had as a child. I'm not able to verify something like that, so hey, I'll take it with a grain of salt. Apparently though, the script was rewritten several times to reduce the amount of similarities between Critters and Gremlins, so again, I'm not so sure about this argument. Regardless of whether it's a Gremlinsploitation movie or not, it's still really good. Critters movies are still being released, so if you haven't seen any of the movies from the series, give them a watch.